Wingstop shares up double digits today as the company reported earnings for the third quarter. Same-store sales declined more than anticipated, down 5.6%, and the company lowered its full-year guidance, but continues to expand. Wingstop had a record 114 openings this quarter as it marches toward its goal of 10,000 plus locations around the globe. It's now opening more than one Wingstop a day. Joining us now is Wingstop CEO Michael Skipworth. Michael, great to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
We'll start broadly with the consumer. You did see some consumer pressures that seemed more limited last quarter expand in a more macro fashion. Can you tell us what's happening right now across your stores?
Yeah, Kate, I think in our business, we talked about the first half of the year, our business over-indexes to lower income Hispanic consumer. And as we move through the third quarter, I think the industry saw that broaden out and consumer trends shift. And we weren't immune to that. And so we saw a little bit more broadening, and in some areas that even reached up into the middle income consumer. But for us, we're in a unique spot. We are growing after 2 years of stacked same-store sales of almost 40%. It's putting us in a really unique spot to where we don't feel like we have to solve for the short term, but we're able to lean into and invest in strategies that we're really excited about that position our brand for this next phase of growth.
And as far as we're looking at these macro pressures, do you have any thoughts on how long you perceive the pullback you're seeing right now to last? Is it, a quarter or two, or do you think this might be longer term?
Yeah, Kate, I think it's tough to predict the duration of this current environment and some near-term choppiness. But I think for us, as we look at our business and kind of look at the data that we have visibility to, we see health and strength in our brand health metrics. We look at even things like the dinner day part, our biggest day part, that actually grew during the third quarter. So we think the underlying strength and health of our brand is really strong. And so it allows us to really focus on these brand building initiatives that give us line of sight into 2026 as they come together. Things like Wingstop Smart Kitchen, or our new ad campaign, Wingstop is Here. And then we're on track to launch loyalty in the second quarter of 2026. When we look at all of these things coming together, we actually have line of sight to growth in 2026 that really isn't dependent on a material change in the macro environment.
And that's exactly what I want to turn to next. So despite the same-store sale decline you mentioned, and the idea that you are running up against some tough comps because you've seen so much growth in the last 2 years, investors do seem excited about a lot of the opportunities that are ahead for Wingstop between smart kitchens, the loyalty program pilot, and just your broader expansion plans. What do you feel is going to be the biggest driver moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's central to our strategy, really. And it's not just investors, it's our brand partners who are excited, and it's those unit economics. Those years of a really strong industry-leading growth that I referenced, that's translated to our average sales per restaurant growing by $500,000 over the last few years. And so as you can see, our brand partners are opening up restaurants. I think you mentioned it earlier, opening more than one Wingstop a day. Our updated outlook for this year for development is between 475 and 485 restaurants. In the fourth quarter, we're on track to hit the 3,000 restaurant milestone, but yet that's only not even a third of our potential of scaling Wingstop into what we think is a global restaurant brand with over 10,000 restaurants around the globe over time.
And you've also got this smart kitchen rollout that you brought up here. What are you seeing as this reaches more than 2,000 plus locations? What's the feedback been from franchisees and from customers? Are they noticing that things are moving more quickly in those kitchens?
Yeah, Kate, this new kitchen operating platform is truly a game changer for our business. I think last quarter we talked about the Dallas-Fort Worth market, roughly 160 restaurants. What we were seeing in that market, how consumers were engaging with our brand, and we were seeing a mid-single-digit same-store sales spread to the rest of the country. This quarter, we were able to talk about the entire Southwest region, over 600 restaurants with the longest tenure on this new kitchen operating platform, seeing that same spread and same-store sales growth to the rest of the system, which really showcases the long-term opportunity we have with Wingstop Smart Kitchen and gives us confidence as more and more restaurants, you mentioned it, we're at 2,000 restaurants live today, but as more and more restaurants deliver on that consistent speed, we think that gap is going to narrow over time and help us return to growth.
And as you look to this more than 10,000 locations globally, that goal, wondering where you see the biggest opportunity. Is it in the US? Is it internationally? What market has you most excited?
It's a pretty balanced growth story, both in the US and outside of the US. We've entered 5 new countries this year outside of the US, and another 3 that are coming online the balance of this year into early 2026. But we see roughly 6,000 restaurants or more in the US and another 4,000 outside of the US. And we shared it this morning on our call, but we're really excited to talk about coming to an agreement in terms on a landmark deal to bring Wingstop to India, where we see over 1,000 restaurant opportunity long term inside that country.
And back to your home market here in the US, on the topic of pricing, do you feel you're fairly priced right now for consumers? And are price cuts on the table at all for Wingstop?
I think the entire industry has definitely experienced a little bit of too much pricing, and you're seeing a little bit of a challenge from a value for money perception with the consumer. But that's not Wingstop. We're going to lean into quality, into abundance, and continue to deliver on that because we were disciplined around pricing. And so take a market like the Dallas-Fort Worth market, where we can see the industry measuring meaningful declines in value scores, and we see strength in those. So it really shows us that our brand is well positioned. We're not looking to have to take price. In fact, we have line of sight into food costs for our business into 2026 that puts us in a really unique spot to focus on this new ad campaign, really, that's around broadening the top of the funnel, bringing new guests into the brand, and winning our fair share.
We look forward to seeing how it all plays out, Michael. Thank you so much for being here today. Great to hear from you.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
Wingstop CEO Michael Skipworth.